Now, what are constraints? Constraints are the set of rules. What are constraints? Hmm?
Set of rules.
Yes. What is normalization?
Set of rules.
Set of rules. Now you can see for two different things, I have given you the same definition. For two different things, I have given you the same definition. Then what is the difference between the two? Okay. So, again, taking the same example of the normalization, same example of the traffic rules. So just tell me, what does, if you break any traffic rule, although you should not, but still if you break some traffic rule, let's say you jumped the red light. So what is the first thing comes to your mind?
Challan.
Challan, absolutely correct. And who will impose this challan?
Traffic police.
Traffic police, absolutely correct. So if normalization is the traffic rules, then constraints are the traffic police. Normalization is saying that this should happen. There should be a primary key. There should be a relationship. There shouldn't be a duplicacy. Okay. So normalization is saying this. Who will make it happen? Constraints will make it happen. And we have various constraints over here like primary, unique, not null, default, check, and foreign. So we will be talking about each of these constraints one by one. Okay.
What did it say?
Hmm. Okay. And to give you the example, I need to create a table. So let me create a table over here.
Sir, one thing,
Hmm.
is it advisable to write the codes in capital?
No, it is up to you. But from my point of view, it looks more readable. That is why I am used to of doing like this.
Oh,
All right. So I created a table EMP, which contains the employee name, address, city, phone number, date of birth, and email. Let me try to insert a record into this table. Sorry.
Name is not.
I missed the email. One row affected. The record has been inserted. Here is the Here it is. The record has been inserted. Now, do you find any problem with this record?
The name is not there.
Name is not there. Absolutely. Can we have an employee without a name? Never. We
No, sir.
can't. But our structure is allowing us to do so. Our structure is allowing us to insert the data, insert a record without a name. Why? Because my structure is not powerful. So here comes into the picture constraint, and we have a not null constraint over here. Okay, so it is not null, makes a entry to a field mandatory. Makes an entry to a field mandatory. You must have seen in many of while filling some online forms, you have an option of you see some red asterisk over there. Have you noticed some
Yes,
red
sir.
asterisk, which is mandatory to provide the information for that particular column? Only then you will be able to submit the form. Okay. So similarly over here, not null constraint is behind that. Okay. So applying a constraint is a structural change. Okay. So for which we use alter table, table name. Right. Now you can see you are getting an error over here. Cannot insert null value into the column name. Right? I am not able to apply this constraint over here. Why? Because there is already a record in a table which does not contain the name. So remember, whenever you are implementing any constraint, there must be no existing record in the table which is already violating that constraint. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Whenever you are implementing a constraint, there must be no existing record in the column which is already violating that constraint. Now I have two options. Number one, I can delete this record. This one, either I delete this record or I add the name. Tell me what should I do? Shall I delete or add the name?
Add the name.
Add the name.
Add the name. Okay, so I want to make the changes to the data for which the command is
Update.
Update.
update. Update table name.
Update TMPs.
That column name equals value. I need not to provide the where clause because there is only one column. Here it goes. Select star from EM. Here it is. So the name has been added like this. And now we will try to implement the constraint. Command completed successfully. The constraint has been applied. Let me try to insert another record over here. you can see I am not able to insert the name, insert the record. Why? Because the name has not been provided. Now the structure will not allow you to insert a record without a name. It must be there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now let's provide the name over here. One row of it. Check. The record has been inserted into the table. Clear?
Yes.
Right. Here it goes. So this was the not null constraint. So let's once again focus on the syntax. Alter table, table name, alter column, the name of the column, data type, size, and not null. So any constraint can be implemented either while creation of the table or post creation of the table. So if you wanted to do it while creation of the table, you just have to write it over here as not null. That's it. It's done. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this was the not null constraint. Let's see which comes next. The next constraint which comes up over here is the default constraint. Default constraint gives a default value to a field. Right? Now you must have seen that while filling some online forms, you will see that few fields are already filled. Okay, few fields are already filled. Like country code +91, country automatically coming up as India. Have you noticed?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
So anything which computer do on its own is referred to as,
Default.
yes, anything which computer is doing on its own. So let's say, assuming that most of the employees in my company are from Delhi. So I'm saying that if I do not specify the value for the city as Delhi, it should be automatically taken as Delhi, else it should be taken the one which I have given. So again, alter table, table name, add constraint. Now, what is a constraint? Constraint is a rule. Constraint is a rule, so you have to name this rule. So alter table, table name, add constraint, the name of the constraint, let's say R1. You can give it any name you like. Alter table, table name, add constraint, constraint name. Which constraint we are applying over here?
Default.
Default. What is the default value?
Delhi.
Done. Okay. So alter table, table name, add constraint, constraint name. We are applying default. What is the default value? Delhi for which field? For city. It's done. Now let's try to insert a record. And let's try to insert this record. One row affected. And please notice I have not specified the city over here, but you can see the city is automatically coming. Correct? Clear?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Sir, can you show the constraint
Automatically
code
taking.
again?
Yes. Alter table name, add constraint, the name of the constraint, which constraint we are imposing, what is the default value for which field. Okay.
Sir, this is with alter, like when you're creating table, then how does this code work?
Let me complete. We are coming to that also.
Okay.
Right. I wanted to give you one more example over here of the default. So this time, once again, I'm inserting one more record over here. One row affected. Let's see. Here it goes. So what have you noticed over here? That when I have not specified the name of the city, when I have not specified the city has been taken as
Delhi.
Delhi. And when I specified the specified city has been taken. So that is the meaning of the default. If you will not provide anything, you will be getting what is the default value, else the one which you have specified. Okay. And this we have done using the alter command. If you wanted to do it while creation of the table, you just have to say default Delhi. That's it. Done. Okay. Somebody has raised this question. Clear?
Clear, sir.
Okay.
Done, sir.
Perfect. So this was the default constraint. Let's see. The next constraint which comes up over here is a unique. Somebody is saying, sir, what is R1 in the alter statement? Pradeep, R1 means
Excuse
the
me, sir.
name.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Can we use this add constraint to add this not null also? Because the syntax
No,
is a bit
no, no,
different.
no. Good point you have highlighted. I was about to highlight this point once completing all the constraints. But as you have highlighted, you will see that the syntax means the way of giving a command. The syntax of all the constraints are similar, will be similar, except the not null. Not null is given the syntax alter table name, alter columns. But for rest of the you will see alter table name, add constraint. Okay,
Okay, sir, got it. Thank you.
perfect. Welcome. Okay, so now we are trying to implement a unique constraint. Ensure uniqueness of a field. So let's say I want that no two employees should have the same phone number. So I will like to implement a unique constraint over here. So I will say alter table name, add constraint. Now you need to give the name of the constraint, any name you want. Tell me what name should I give?
One.
R2.
R2. Okay, let's put R2. It could be any name. Alter table name, add constraint name. Which constraint we are imposing?
Unique.
Unique. On which field? Phone.
Phone number.
It's done. Now let's try to insert a record. Right? So now you can see I'm unable to insert this record. Why? Because the phone number is same. Violation of the unique key constraint R2. Okay, so it is always as advisable that you should give an appropriate name. Right? So just by having a look at the name, we can know that which rule has been violated. So R2 means the duplicate key. Here it is. Let me change the phone number. And now try to insert. It has been inserted.
As it is a different phone number.
Right. So what do you see over here? That as and when we are implementing the constraint, our structure is becoming more and more powerful, saying no to the invalid data. Okay, clear?
Sir, this unique
Clear,
is
sir.
also in list.
Huh?
This unique constraint is also in list. I mean, it will take under the brackets.
No, no, no. Unique will not take list. Okay. And if you wanted to implement this constraint while creation of the table, you just have to say unique. Done. Nothing else. Okay. Now let's see what is the next constraint we have.
Sir, can we have a same constraint multiple times in a table?
On a different columns, yes.
Okay.
You can have all the columns in the table as unique if you want. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Right. Now, the next constraint which comes up over here is the check. Very important constraint. It is used very frequently. Used to implement a condition on a field. Used to implement a condition on a field. Now, let's say I want that the date of birth of an employee should be less than 1 Jan 2000. So again, alter table name, add constraint. Now again, we have to give a constraint name. What should we give? Anything A, B, C, X, Y, Z, anything you like. Let's try to give it something different. So I can say CKDB, anything. Alter table name, add constraint name. Which constraint we are imposing? Check. On which field? Now, whatever the condition you will be specifying, it will be always there in the this parenthesis. So I can say DOB should be less than equal to or less than, I will say 01 Jan 2000. Let me execute. Command completed successfully. Okay, now let's try to insert a record over here. Now you can see I'm not able to insert this record. Why?
Age, date of
Date
birth
of birth is greater than 2.
Date of birth is greater than 1 Jan 2000. So let me change the date of birth. Let me make it as, and now try to insert. The record has been inserted. Correct?
Sir, if there was already a record before we added the constraint, so how will that work? That
I
had
have given a statement whenever you are implementing any constraint, there must be no record in the table which is already violating that constraint. You will not be able to implement it. Okay?
So the constraint won't work then in that case.
Constraint will not be implemented. Working come next. First of all, it should be implemented. It will not be implemented.
Right. Then we have to delete the record, then put the constraint.
Whatever you have to do the manipulations, and then only you will be able to. Because in the real-time scenario, it does not happen that first you insert the data and then apply the constraint. It is vice versa. Data is very, very important. So until and unless everything is perfect, okay, until and unless your structure is complete, then only we come around with playing with the data. Okay?
All right.
Perfect. Okay, so this was the check constraint. And if you wanted to do it while creation of the table, you can put it over here like this. Check DOB less than this. Okay? So this was the check constraint. Now, the next constraint which comes up over here is the primary key.
So how does the check one work on the creation table? Same way?
Yes, the working is same. I'm just giving you for each constraint. I am telling you if you wanted to do it while creation of the table or post creation of the table. I have given you both the ways. Whichever you feel like you can use as per your requirement. Okay. Primary key maintains uniqueness of a field. But before I talk about the primary key, let us consider one more thing. And what does key mean? Key means field. Key means field. Okay. Now, primary key is the key that uniquely identifies a record in a table. Primary key cannot be duplicated, neither it can be left blank. Now, just look at your table. In your table, we have 7 columns over here, which are employee ID, date of birth, phone number, city, address, name, and employee ID. So, we are not creating any primary key over here, but just tell me email ID. Can two employees have a same email ID? Yes or no?
No.
No, sir.
No. So let's take email. Can two employees have a same date of birth?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes. Can two employees have a same phone number?
No.
No.
No. Can two employees are from the same city?
Yes.
Yes. Can two employees have a same address?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, yes. Can two employees have a same name?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Can two employees have a same employee ID?
No.
No.
No. Correct. So what have you done over here? You have 7 columns. You have 7 columns. From that 7 columns, you have 7 fields, I should say. From the 7 fields, you have shortlisted these 3 fields. And out of these 3 fields, one will be the primary key. Out of these 3, one will be the primary key. Okay. So now this is a conceptual thing over here. Now these 3 fields will be considered as the candidate key. You can remember this with the help of an example of elections. Just like in election for one field, in elections for one seat, there are multiple candidates, but only one wins. Same over here, there are three candidates to be the primary key, but only one wins. Let's see who wins. Now, the email ID. Is it possible a person doesn't have an email ID? Hmm?
Possibility, yes.
Yes, I would say less probable, but possible. We cannot say that if you do not have a email ID, we will not hire you. Okay. Moreover, let's assume we are talking about the corporate email ID, and there are, let's say, there are 10 employees who have joined the company, and it has taken some time, let's say a day or two, it has taken for creation of their creation of their email ID, the corporate email ID. So for that 1 or 2 days, those employee does not have any email ID, right? So multiple employee having a blank email ID again indicates a duplicate. So in this scenario, we are talking about the duplicacy also of the email ID. So now, so that is, this is not a good candidate. Let's talk about a phone number. Is it possible a person doesn't have a phone number?
Possible.
Yes, again, I would say less probable in today's scenario, but still possible. For an example, let's say you have been moved somewhere overseas for some opportunity, and your Indian mobile is not working over there. Moreover, your you do not have a local mobile over there. Further, assuming that you have joined a company of your friend, you have joined the company of your friend, and for the time being you have provided your friend's contact number as your contact number. So in this scenario there is a probability of the phone number being duplicated. So again, phone number is also not a good candidate to be the primary key. Now, talking about the employee ID, the first thing which you get, the first thing which you get when you work, when you join as a company is your employee ID, right? And in no case, two employees can ever have a same employee ID. Clear? So in this scenario, employee ID can never be duplicated, neither it can be left blank. So that means it is the best candidate to be the primary key.
Primary.
Clear? So we can say employee ID wins. So let's create employee ID as the primary key. The syntax still remains the same, alter. So let's do it. Alter table, table name, alter table, table name. Add alter table, table name, add constraint, the name of the constraint. You can give it anything you like. Let me say PKID, anything. Alter table, table name, add constraint, constraint name. Which constraint we are imposing?
Primary key.
Primary key. Primary key. On which field? Employee ID. That's it. Execute. Oh, we are getting some error over here, which says cannot define primary key constraint on a nullable column in the table EMP. Now, see what is happening over here. Just look at this definition of table. Only focus on this and tell me, as per the table, is it mandatory to provide the employee ID? Yes or no? Tell me.
Yes.
As per the table, is it mandatory to provide the employee ID?
Yes, sir.
No.
Not at all. It
Not
is
at the
not
moment.
mandatory. because it is not saying it as not null. So from the table point of view, it is saying that it is fine if you do not provide the employee ID. It is fine if you do not provide the employee ID. However, when you are making it as a primary key, so primary key is saying that it is mandatory to make it as a employee ID. Primary key is saying it is mandatory to make it as an employee ID. So there becomes a conflict. Table is saying, okay, please, if you don't give the employee ID, it is okay with me. Primary key is saying, no, you have to give the employee ID. So there is a conflict. So first of all, this conflict needs to be resolved. So how do we resolve this conflict? By making the employee ID as the not null column. So again, alter table name,
Add constant.
alter
Column.
column, EID,
Not null.
char 5
Not null.
not null. Done. Now, from the table point of view, also it is mandatory to provide the primary key. Now I will implement this constraint, and it has been implemented successfully. Okay, now let's try to insert a record. Violation of primary key constraint PKID. I'm not able to insert this record. Why? Because the employee ID has been duplicated. Done. Okay. And if you wanted to create a primary key while creation of the table, either you can say primary key over here, simply specify the primary key, or you can also put it at the item like this. So either you can do it like this or like this, whichever you feel like. And also notice that if you are implementing a primary key while creation of the table, so in that scenario, it is not mandatory to make it as not null. Okay, understood? Hello, confirm.
Okay,
Primary
sir.
key clear?
The last
Yes, sir.
part, can you explain it?
Huh?
Unique as well.
Somebody was saying something, I couldn't hear that. Last what?
The last part, can you explain about the primary key? If we put it
I
at
said, if you are if you are applying the primary key while creation of the table, then you need not to specify the column as not null. And if you are implementing the primary key post creation of the table, you have to specify it as not null. Understood?
okay, sir. And
Okay,
so
sir.
how did you specify primary key at the end of the table?
Simply write primary key EID, that's it. That's it.
Sir, don't we need to mention the data type here after EID?
No, it has already
Because
been done
the-
over here. So any which ways you like, they are both the same thing. Whichever. I think this is better. You can go ahead with this if you wanted to do it. Okay.
So can I see the alter statement for primary, the not?
Here it is. Alter table name, add constraint name, then which constraint we are implementing on which table. So if you will see, apart from the not null, the syntax for all the constraints is same. Okay.
By
Yes.
default, it will be unique, right?
What?
If I give primary key, by default, it will take it as unique column.
Sir, that is what I said. It is not by default. If you are doing it while creation of the table, then you don't have to specify it as unique. If you are doing it as a post creation of the table, first of all, you have not unique, it has to be not null. And primary key definition says it is unique. So by default doesn't make a sense over here. The word is not appropriate by default.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, so got
right.
it.
So let's see what comes next. So the next constraint which comes up over here is the foreign key. Foreign key. To relate the two table. It is used to relate the two table. Now to give you an example of the foreign key, I need to create one more table. So let me create the table. So I created a table with the name employee salary containing the employee ID, department designation, and salary. Let me insert a record into this table. One row affected. Let us check. Here it goes. Now look at this record. Do you find any problem with this record? Anything wrong in this record?
Employee ID.
What employee ID? What is the problem with the employee ID? Tell me.
We don't have this employee ID in our previous table.
Very good. Absolutely correct. So in the employee table, we do not have this ID. So that means we are giving a salary to an employee who does not exist. Okay, so how come this is possible? This is possible because these two tables are not related to each other. So we need to relate the two tables, and for which we have the foreign key. So let's do it. Again, alter table, table name, alter table, table name, add constraint, constraint name. Which constraint we are imposing?
Foreign
Foreign
key.
On which field? EID.
key.
References needs to be taken from which
Will be.
table? EMP. Which field?
Yeah.
EID. Error. Why? Can you tell me why I am getting this error?
Employee ID 10 is there already.
It has the record
Yes,
which is not.
because the conflicting record is already there. And again, now you have an option. Either you can remove the either you can remove or delete the record, or you can make the required changes. So let me change the employee ID. update emp underscore cells set eid is equal to e1. Okay. Now implement the constraint. Command completed successfully. Now let's try to insert another record. It is not allowing me to insert it. Now I can, because the corresponding record exists in the table. So now there is a parent-child relationship between the employee and the salary table. That is, if I wanted to insert the data into the salary table, it is mandatory that I need to first of all insert the data into the employee table. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. And if you wanted to do it while creation of the table, you can say over here,
Foreign key.
you can simply add this references emp eid while creation of the table. Okay. Implementing the foreign key while creation of the table. Is that clear? Okay, so let me quickly review all the constraints and I will give you a single line statement for each of the constraint. Okay, and listen to this carefully. The first one, not null, makes an entry to a field mandatory. Then default provides the default value. Unique, ensure uniqueness of a field. Check, used to implement a condition. Primary key, ensure uniqueness of a field. Foreign key, used to relate the two tables. Is that clear? Any questions
Yes, sir.
on this?
So for foreign key in the create table, we only write references. We don't
Yes,
write keys.
foreign key keyword is not required. You need not to write that.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I was expecting a question over here. If you have noticed, for two things, that is the unique and primary
And
key,
the
I have
primary key.
given you the same explanation. Unique ensure uniqueness of the field and primary key also ensures uniqueness of the field. Then what is the difference between the two? This is also an important interview question. Difference between primary and unique.
So
Primary
one
key
is
cannot be not null.
not null and one is null.
Good.
Unique.
So primary key does not allow null value. However, unique does, but only once. Even if you have 10,000 records and there is a unique field, so out of those 10,000 records, only one field can have a null value because multiple null means duplicate. Okay. And second difference is in a table, we can have multiple unique fields, but we can have only one primary field. Clear?